machine jump going, adding a missile turret all over the place now, so that he's not so vulnerable against these wraiths. At the very least, he's going to be able to reestablish his bases, but really a lot of economic damage done already, and Mind already has 3 factories out there, despite the fact that he went for early starports. Also, this gives him additional advantage that once he wants to start pumping dropships, he can pump those from 2 starports. I think it would be a really good advantage for him if he decides to do this. He's going to have those wraiths out there, also to help prevent dropship play, from Fantasy. They're going to be able to act as spotters for his tanks. If any units stray from the group, they're going to be able to come in and pick it off, or at the very least deal some decent damage to it. And those 2 starports, when Mind decides to change up over and try to go for some dropship play, he's going to be able to just add in 1 control tower and start pumping dropships en masse from 2 starports. Let's see, Raid's going to cloak in. Oh, one of the most can take a nice little scans there from Goliath. They do have Charon boosters, so they're going to be able to do range the race quite easily and do a lot of damage. No wraiths being built by Mind anymore, and we still see those Marines slowly, painstakingly taking down the eggs. Of course, the eggs only take 1 damage for anything. Oh, one wraith going to come there, act as a spotter, not really spotting anything significant, I feel, and just going to die. Fantasy, meanwhile, is going to go to the 3 o'clock base, is going to expand there. Mind, I think, knows this is coming. I'm not quite sure whether they scanned that or not, or just he at the very least has wraiths flying. They're going to be forced to be very careful against this turret because wraiths are very invulnerable. That's one of their major weaknesses. It doesn't take very long to take him down. Even a single turret can do a lot of damage to even a decent, halfway decent wraith fleet. Fantasy, I think, actually has a building down the 6 o'clock position. I'm not quite sure whether that's a hidden expo or not, but there is a blip there at the 6 o'clock position. Might just be an SCV. I'm not altogether too sure. Mind, meanwhile, is going to be expanding. Mind is going to be expanding inside 9 o'clock. I'm sorry, and Fantasy putting up. I saw him putting up. Had a starport with a control tower ready, and is also putting up a science facility. So he's going to continue getting the upgrades. And I think Fantasy has been going on been producing upgrades longer. Has had an armory quite a longer time out there. So I think he's going to be up ahead in the upgrade war. Still not getting any. Don't think I saw any weapons one upgrades for him there yet, but he will be ahead in the upgrade war once he decides to go for that. Both players still producing off 3 factories. There are a couple of dropships out there now. And yeah, there we go. Second control tower. 2 dropships out there for mine. A second control tower going to come down. He's also had his E-bait just now, so he's going to be able to put up some turrets as well on the forward position outside his inside 9 o'clock. Has taken advantage of his barracks to shell a couple of tanks there to the north. Fantasy going to be able to come in, though. Mind has some of his own reinforcements, so at the very least he's trying to take advantage of this positioning on the map near the middle. Some buildings blocking in to not allow too much maneuverability. And the barracks very heavily damaged, though. One huge barrage on his tanks, almost completely taking him out. He's going to get one shut off before the tanks close in. They are going to be able to pick off the barracks. Mind does have some more tanks that are full health. I'm going to see whether he actually decides to move those into movements to support. But still, both players overall in a decent position. Mind has lost a few more troops, but did more economic damage earlier on. I think he really needs to continue using those wraiths. Continuing doing some economic damage, moving in there, picking off a tank, helping out, but he lost, I think, 2 wraiths in that. Ouch. Losing 2 wraiths in that. I just think Mind's going to be able to get ahead as soon as he gets that dropship moment. He's going to have a lot more dropships out there. Fantasy going to be forced to focus heavily on Goliath, where he might want to have some more tanks out there. But Mind's going to have to be very careful with those Goliaths because there are a lot of Goliaths out there. Fantasy, meanwhile, actually putting up a command center at the inside 12 o'clock, and was also building another command center somewhere. Mind, I think, might be expanding at the 6 o'clock now. So whatever yellow blip there was there earlier, it's not there anymore. 4 dropships out there for Mind. I'm not even sure. Fantasy should have at least 1, maybe 2 at this point because it did sit that starport. But Mind at the very least is going to have the maneuverability advantage. Now it just needs to get enough troops, needs to go out there, do some army damage. Because in TVT, sure, doing some economic damage is very important, but sometimes doing army damage is even more important. Sometimes just slowly but surely ripping apart your opponent's army is so much more important because you're taking apart the pawns. If you're gonna look at this like a chess match, all the tanks out there, all the Goliaths, they're the pawns, they're the units that are the building blocks for the entire army. You're gonna need them to support everything else out there. Fantasy, adding in a lot of factories, has a lot of turrets to defend his bases, and also just setting up tank lines to help himself defend everything. I think economically speaking, let's see, Fantasy is going to be on his 5th very soon. Mind expanding at the upper left hand, also at the 6th. So I think Mind's on 5 already, and Fantasy getting his 5th now, up now as we speak. So at the very least, he's doing a very good job competing. Fantasy also going to be floating off a command center towards that 3 o'clock position to try to pick that up. That's past eggs, so I'm thinking he might just try. Yeah, he does have a dropship out there. I'm thinking he might just drop CVs on top of that. Mind, meanwhile, has one dropship leading the pack, kind of leading them on the line just so they're a little bit more careful. Does have a few tanks that I'm going to see whether he's going to try to drop on top of the base. Has siege tanks, nice. They're going to start off by sieging those turrets, because there are a lot of turrets, so dropping right on top of that would be a very bad idea. Fantasy still only 2 dropships. Wondering, might actually stop production for a little bit. Still going to move forward with this. Dropships coming in, taking a lot of shots. One of them did go down. Second one did go down. I think one might have survived. Altogether, not just sure. SCV's coming off the line. Goliath's not doing a altogether great job of protecting them. SCV's doing a good job against these tanks. Wow. Nice defending it from Fantasy. He's going to be able to, at the very least, a lot of splash on his own forces. They're nice defending there for Fantasy. He loses all of his SCVs, but the base is going to stay there. Goliath and tanks coming in to support, and Mind does not have enough. Still holding some of this back. Desperately trying to pick up this command center, because really this attack is only going to be worth it if he takes down the command center, because he lost the Dart troops in that. Drop was a little bit too risky. Really just went in a little bit too aggressively, I feel. Is going to force a float away, and did damage the command center quite a lot, but Fantasy is going to be able to take the position when he wants to. More dropships coming in from Mind. Did reinforce that. Is going to reinforce it. Pick off those tanks. Going to try to go for this. Going to try to possibly even move all the way to the main with this. Does have a lot of tanks in there. Fantasy, not too many dropships. Going to, at the very least, going to fly back now. Going to try to get more. Mind, however, doesn't have too many forces. So I think Fantasy, just with those factories much more closer to his base, is going to be able to reinforce this very well that way. But Mind, at the very least, denying a base now for Fantasy. Doing a good job of denying some mining, putting down the aggressive action. I was talking about, sometimes you need to do some damage to the pawns, but sometimes you need to do some damage to the economy. I don't really know where that is, how to prepare, how to say, economy and chess, because I'm not really that great at chess player. I know chess, I understand chess, but, I don't watch chess on TV or understand all the move, this defense or that maneuver or stuff like that. And I definitely do not call it a sport. But both these players think Fantasy is going to be a battle here, coming in very close to the middle. Mind did drop a lot of forces. We're going to see what the Fantasy is going to have enough. He's very heavy on the Goliaths. Tanks at the back as well. But I think just the fact that Fantasy is having the Goliaths, he's going to be able to mop this up. Has more dropships out there now as well. 4 to Mind's earlier 4. I think Mind might have more now. 1 Wraith coming out there, going to try to do some damage. But there are turrets in play as well. Wraith's going to go down in seconds. Goliaths were a little bit out of position. So Mind has done more economic damage, because Mind hasn't really, there hasn't been any economic damage done to Mind whatsoever. He's still going to reinforce, or was he actually picking up? I'm not too sure. I think he was actually picking up the forces at the 12, going to move back. Now finally get himself harassed towards the 6 o'clock position. He's going to try to move down. So he has to make sure he just does not get any sort of economic damage done to him. He has to be very careful to keep those command centers alive. The turret is going to get taken out by the Goliaths. Wondering whether Fantasy is actually going to move down with dropships, try to pick that off, or just move in down for us. He does have 4 dropships coming in. Is Mind going to have enough to save this? He needs to save this command center. SCV's already, many of them lost. I think some of them were actually taken off the line there. Goliaths are going to be ready for the dropship. 1 dropship dies instantly. 2 dropships going to go down. 1 heavily damaged. Some of the tanks, the Goliaths going to come in, try to clear this up. But Fantasy and more reinforcements coming in. A lot of tanks, Goliaths at the front as well. Mind does not really have enough troop scans going off. Couple of dropships coming in from Mind. He's going to have more reinforcements or not. Is this going to be enough? Losing too many dropships, Mind, is the fact that he had an early dropship advantage. He really hasn't allowed it to come through now, because he's lost way too many dropships, going for some fatally risky maneuvers. I think Fantasy still being allowed to expand across the right side of the map. Mind, despite the fact that he's been a base over Fantasy for all, not really managing to win the battles here. And if you're economically ahead, if you're not winning any of the battles in a pretty bad position, Mind managing to keep that 12 o'clock away from Fantasy simply by having an extremely damaged Goliath standing there. But wonder how long that's going to last. Mind at the very least is going to be able to continually